Hi, welcome to Nia's Divine Garden. I am your gardener. I'm your cultivator. I'm the purveyor of practically spiritual nuggets, Dania. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a minute since I've done a video, and I'm going to proactively apologize for the glare in my glasses. I can't see today. I can't see without my glasses, period, but I have some reading I need to do. If it bothers me too much, I'll probably take them off. But yeah, I was trying to see myself and I couldn't. So thank you so much. It's been a minute. I'm really excited. I'm going to call this an astrology tutorial because we're going to get into the shift of the lunar nodes. I did do a blog. The link for that is in the description box about what I felt like some of the things and themes for the lunar nodes in. We're going to get into this a little bit more with this video. I was watching Astrology with Heather, and I'll make sure I link the video she did because it was the inspiration for this one. She gave a suggestion about taking a look to see where the nodes were at previously, the pre-transit, and then look at what kind of themes are going on in your life and things like that. So the way I'm going to do this, because, hold on, okay, it is gonna bother me. The way I'm gonna do this is that I'm gonna start with just some generals about what the nodes are and what they mean, just really high level, nothing too in the weeds. Once I do that, I'm going to talk about the zodiac signs for which they're moving into, which will be the North Node is moving into Taurus and the South Node is moving into Scorpio. So there'll be what the nodes are, then the signs they're moving into. I will kind of do like I guess a quickie like I did in my blogs about astrology and why. But then I'll get into myself personally. So I'll talk about where they are in my birth chart. And I'm kind of debating in my head right now if I'm going to do a share what the birth chart looks like. But I'll talk about where they are in my birth chart. Then we'll look at historically what was going on when this transit happened the last time, but I'm going to do the reverse transit. The one that's an exact match. Remember what was going on. It was a while back. So yeah, if it comes up, I may, but I was sitting here trying to think about it. I think the thing that I can think of most clearly is the most recent one. So that's the one that I focus in on. So we'll look at historically what it looks like, and then I'll, really kind of think about what I feel like is going to play out. I'll share the message that Heather said, and I'm just going to, talk about how I feel like this is going to play out with myself. So I hope you're excited because I'm excited. Let's get into it. Okay, so first we're going to talk about why astrology. So astronomy is the study of the planets, stars, the cosmos, and how things are moving. Astrology takes those movements and studies how those movements impact the planet, us, our energy, our life, and things like that. From a Hermetic principle perspective, as above, so below. So as what's going on in the cosmos, it is also going on here on Earth. As within, so without, what's going on in nature is happening to us internally in our being because we are still aspected with Mother Nature. So to do this in a way for people who don't follow astrology or maybe don't believe astrology and things of that nature, like to take it deeper, God created everything. Everything, including the planets and the stars. So energy cannot be created or destroyed. So the originating energy, God, changed form, aspects of self have changed form to the planets, the stars, and what. So everything has the energy or the ashe or the essence of God in it. So the movement, how the planets move, was pre-designed, preordained by God. I think you can all agree with that. So everything that God has created that we have an awareness of, or even the things we don't have awareness of, all have an impact on our life. This would include the planets. So we're out in space and we have the planets and the stars and things like that. So there's all this energy happening in space. The energy is passing through the planets and stars. Okay. So if we think about just the cosmos as a big circle, we know it's not, but we're thinking about it, the circle around Earth. There's a circle hovering above Earth, and this circle is a clock. So there's 12 hours on the clock. So there's 12 segments on this circle. Each one of those segments in astrology is referred to as a house. And so the houses are the areas of our life. So like our first house is who we are. It's the house of I am. So it's who we are, or it's at the very least, it is who we are perceived to be. It's the house of first impressions. And it goes so on and so forth like that. So when I mention a house, I'm speaking about a particular area of my life. The planets are moving through those houses. So the planets are moving through those houses. And so the planets are well, I'm going to start with the zodiac sign. The zodiac signs are in and around those houses. The zodiac sign is the lens through which we look at and perceive that area of our life. So again, we have the houses as an area of life. The energy is moving through that area of life, through that planet. And that planet is acting as a lens. It is how we see that area of our life. It's how we think about that area of our life, how we perceive that area of our life. Then we have the planets. The planets are how we move, because the planets are moving. The planets are moving. So the planets determine how we move, how we act, how we handle things in that area of life based on how we see that area of life. Because some of the planets work together, so they may be sitting next to each other, they may be across from each other, things of that nature will also determine how that movement happens. Because there are certain areas of life that play off of each other. So for example, the 4th house and the 10th house. The 4th house is our home and how our inner world. It's our inner world, whereas the 10th house is our outer world. So they're polarized because the one is inner, one is outer. But being able to bring that into harmony and balance will show how the energy is moving back and forth between each other. So, and when I say planets, I will say planets is an overarching umbrella term. So planets would include planets, asteroids, fixed stars, comets, meteors, all of these things, because everything is energy. So all of this energy is playing out within the cosmos, and thus all of that energy as it's interplaying in the cosmos is then still passing through Earth, and anything energy passing through Earth is also passing through us. How we decide to work with that energy. So there is the fate and destiny. God has already said this is how the planets are going to move. He's already said it. The planets are going to move this way, in this order, in this way. This is how, when retrogrades are going to happen, this is how this is going to play out. So that's destiny, that's fate. We have no control how the planets, weather, we have no control how the weather's going to be. These are things out of our control. What is within our control is how we work with that energy and how we move throughout that energy. That is where free will comes into play. We can ride with the current, or we can go against the current. Kind of just depends. And depending on what you decided with the Most High before you were born, how you intrinsically will behave. But there are some people who are not meant to flow with the current. They're meant to go against the current. That is their role in their life. That's what they chose to do. That is what their soul wants to experience. Where some people are meant to be in the flow. They're meant to be in the flow. There are some people who are meant to follow the collective. There are some people who are meant to break away from the collective. This is all things that you chose before you incarnated here. So there's my astrology connection. Again, as I've said multiple times, it's not that astrologers don't believe in God. They believe in God very much. God created everything. There's not it's not a lack of belief in the Most High. It is humans' way of understanding what God is trying to tell us by why these things are moving and understanding just a little bit more of that design. And I think that some people are so fixated on they don't feel like they're supposed to know that, but then they want to they can easily believe that somebody's a guru or prophet, but they can't simply believe that God is speaking to everyone in their own way. I am an Aquarius sun, Mars, and Mercury. So the way that I move through my life and my spirituality is I'm a scientist. I'm a scientist. I am a big nerd scientist. I can't just be told, oh, ... I have to do experiments. I have to go look and see and be able to bring that information into a way where I'm like, I can see this. This is provable. It's not simply a theory now. This is like I'm seeing it in action. So this is why I'm doing this video, is because I wanted to see the node shifts in action so that I could understand a little bit better how to move, what to prepare for. Even if there's things I cannot change, I can at least be looking for the deeper understanding as to why things had to happen the way they did. And maybe I won't come to understanding, but I may be able to come to a place of peace. So there's my astrology thing. So let's take a look and talk about what the nodes are. Okay, so the North and the South node, which I did a little bit of this in my blog, but the North and South node are calculations, they're mathematical calculations. And specifically, they're calculations to see how the eclipses are going to happen during eclipsing. So they're on the lunar, the moon's ecliptic. Their calculations are mathematical points. However, when these mathematical points are activated or triggered, because they are attached to the eclipse, which is such a powerful energy, these are points of fate in our birth chart, and also points of fate during transits. Sorry, that was just really laid weird. Okay, so we have the North and South node, and they are always on an axis. So the North and South node are always in sister signs. They're in signs that they're the opposite, but not of each other. You will see some parallels in the energy in such a way, but they are manifesting differently because they're in different elements. So the energy is different, and thus how they see things are differently. But if they can learn to see where they see things the same, which is what I put in my blog, this is where the harmony comes in. And this is where you're really realizing your true power and potential. So the North node, we'll start. Yeah, the North node is all about where your soul is trying to grow, where it's trying to grow and expand. And if I'm looking this way, I've got notes written down. So the North node is growth and new opportunities. It is the insatiable appetite for new worldly pursuits, is how Heather described it. It is where your soul wants to go. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's like your midheaven, which is your career growth, where you want what you want to do, what you want your legacy to be. Your North node is like about your life experience and what it wants to experience in this life that maybe it didn't get to experience in a previous past life or earlier in this life. You don't resonate with past life. Your South node is where you feel comfortable. It is what you get, your gifts, your talents, your skills, your karma, your energy, the energy you brought with you into this life is your South node. It is what comes naturally to you. It is where you feel it's your sweet spot. It's where it's your sweet spot. The South Node is about unraveling and surrender. It is about patterns that of behavior that maybe really did not serve us, and how can we take the less shadow side of that energy and move into the light and use that light to propel us to our north node. So they're not working against each other. The skills and things you have in your south node, are the energy of that south node is supposed to push you to your north node. So that is what the nodes themselves mean. When the nodes are shifting, it really is going to highlight things that were already going to take place. Again, as I said in the beginning, when God created the planets, God also created the planetary movement. That means the calculation of the nodes, that is already predetermined. That was already a predetermined point. So the ecliptic of the moon is determined. So that means the nodes were already predetermined. It means these things were set in motion well before we were even born. So where the South Node shifts when we're experiencing the transit, the South Node is going to feel like, oh my God, I got to do what now? What? I got to do what? No, 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 no. But you won't have a choice. It's like, oh my God, I really got to do that? I don't want to do that. I really have to do that. Whereas the North Node, it's still not necessarily a choice, but it feels more like a choice. It's like, okay, so this is happening, this is happening. All right, I guess I need to do such and such a thing. And it feels like that decision is your decision. But there were things happening externally that said, you are going to make this, you need to make this decision. So it really wasn't your choice, but it feels more like your choice. Whereas with the South Node, it's like, what? Oh my God. Okay. 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 All right. All right. All right. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. That's how South Node feels. So looking at this, we're getting ready to change in from the North Node was in Gemini. So this was thoughts, ideas, short distance travel, early education, very fast energy. Most people don't talk about Gemini. It resonates with the 3 in numerology, and that's really high emotional energy. And if you think about, this is where, again, expansive. So think Jupiter. Jupiter is known as the great benefic, but Jupiter doesn't care what it's going to make big. It's just going to make it big. Like, it's not like, oh, cool. All right. So if it's like Jupiter's conjunct the moon, and moon is actually related to our appetite. So all of a sudden we're real extra hungry, and we're real hungry, and we're real hungry. And we just really want to eat. And then we start to put on weight. Jupiter conjunct the moon. Putting on that extra weight may not be good, but Jupiter is not looking at whether something's good or not good. Jupiter is like, I make things big. This is what I do. I make things grow and expand. That's what I do. So the North Node has a similar type of Jupiterian energy. So think about where things expanded. She gave a really great example, which was all of the information. The nodes take 18 months to complete a transit on an axis. And so for the last, think about year and a half, what we've been doing, experiencing with the amount of information that we've been getting on a multitude of topics in a multitude of ways, we've just been getting information. Even travel, where people were taking less long distance trips, which would be Sagittarius energy, which was where the South Node, and doing more short trips, because for a hot minute, we weren't really going anywhere. Like if it wasn't to the store and back, it wasn't happening. If you went to see somebody, it was somebody in the area. You weren't really going on a lot of long distance trips. So that was that North and South Node axis. So now we're moving into Taurus and Scorpio. So I'm going to talk about what each one of those zodiac signs represents. And you can think about what we know so far. So the North Node is expansive. It's where we're trying to grow. It's where we're trying to expand. It's where we want to have new experiences. So the North Node is moving backwards into the sign of Taurus because the nodes move backwards. Planets move forward, nodes move backwards. So the nodes are moving back into the sign of Taurus. And so thinking about what Taurus is, what some of those themes are, I'm going to get into some keywords for you in a moment. And then the South Node is moving into Scorpio. So North Node, Taurus, South Node, Scorpio. So with that in mind, let's get into some of the things that we know about Taurus and about Scorpio. I had to put my glasses on because my eyeballs were hurting. So, all right. So let's talk about Taurus. So Taurus is the sign of I build. Taurus is an earth sign. It is fixed. And what fixed means is that exactly what it sounds like. It is. No, I'm not moving. No. You want me to change? Yeah, I don't do that here. We don't do that here. We don't change. We stay put. This is what we do. We stay put. Fixed. Earth is feminine, so Taurus is a feminine energy. Taurus specifically is the Mother Earth archetype. So Cancer is the divine feminine, and Taurus is Mother Earth. Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. It is also the exaltation of the moon. So when the moon is in Taurus, it's like, I like it here. Think of if you do tarot card, the Empress. Actually, give me a second. I'll give you a visual. Okay, so I have two cards to help you see visually that Taurus energy. So there she is. So there is Big Mama Empress. And you see the moon right there because that's the exaltation of the moon, but you see literally Mother Earth, just fullness. I also, because this one is also related to Taurus energy, is the Queen of Pentacles. So you see, she is completely unbothered. She is fixed, she is rooted, she got her big money pentacle purse. So that is Big Mama Taurus energy. So definitely it's I build, it's also I attract. Very strongly rooted, steady, solid, a very soothing presence. Taurus energy is nurturing. It's a feminine sign, and all the feminine signs are intuitive. Not intuitive to the level of a water sign, but it's still feminine. So there is some intuition there. I'm extremely loyal. That's slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race. Everything they do is sensual. And when we say sensual, sensual is all about the senses. It is about what makes us feel good, what tastes good, what looks good, what smells good, what is lavish and abundant. That is Taurus energy. Very much attracted to things that soothe the senses. Taurus actually rules your voice. So Taurus is the natural ruler of the second house. And the second house in your birth chart is the house of what you value. So this is your core personal values. It is your self-worth. Taurus is all about self-worth. So this is your self-worth, what you value in yourself, what you value around yourself. So what makes you feel valued, but it is also about your voice. So throat chakra, how you sound, how you speak. So Taurus energy is definitely, because it rules the voice, has a pleasant voice. One of the things, the overarching theme of a Taurus, as far as what Taurus needs are, is I need to be resourceful, productive, and stable. So those are the things that you want to think about when it comes to that Taurus energy. So then we have, so that's where the North Node is going. That's the energy where the North Node is getting ready to go. So then we have Scorpio. The Scorpio energy is I desire. So this is power, passion, purpose, Transformation. So Scorpio is the water sign. It is fixed. Water is feminine energy, so it is feminine. Scorpio traditionally is ruled by Mars, and in more modern astrology is ruled by Pluto. Scorpio energy is passionate, independent, will blaze its own trail unbothered. So it makes it controversial. Authenticity is big to Taurus. Like, you can't be fake or phony with Taurus energy. Like, you gotta be yourself. So whatever area of life Taurus rules, you are probably your most authentic self, or your being is trying to force you to be your most authentic self. Taurus energy can seem intimidating or closed off, but they're very, very emotionally in tune, really cerebral and psychological energy. Tauruses, because they also rule your shadow self, have the ability, not Taurus, Scorpio, because they rule your shadow self, have the ability to see into other people's shadow. And that's how they know when you are and you're not being authentic, because they can see. They see the truth of you, even if you don't see the truth of yourself. Very magnetic and intense, private, transformation, death and rebirth cycles. And when I say that death and rebirth cycle, endings and beginnings. So that's Taurus is constantly evolving. Not Taurus, Scorpio is constantly evolving, because Scorpio wants to be authentic. So when you grow out of things and things no longer feel authentic, Scorpio is like, okay, we're going to get rid of that and we're going to evolve again. So very much about transformation and renewing. Erotic, sexual, powerful, and complex. So the need for Taurus is, I need for deep involvement and intense transformation. I have a need for deep involvement and intense transformation. So this is where the South Node is going. So when we look at what's happening and what that energy looks like right now, what's going to happen as a collective. So we're all experiencing this because we're all on Earth. So we're on a quest for tangible results. Where Scorpio is internalized, what we're seeing is those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. We're trying to see the tangible. What's pushing us to see the tangible results of that inner work and that inner transformation. So we want to see tangible material gains and growth. And there's some other things at play here with the Taurus energy, because the North Node and Uranus are going to be coming together. So we've got that. So we talked about Taurus and Scorpio. We talked about what the nodes are. Before I get into the houses, I feel like I need to just touch on Uranus. So Uranus is the planet of change, shifts, lightning strikes. Is a very good description of Uranus energy. It's like, boom, change. Tower energy, big tower moments. So there's a change and then there's a tower moment. Uranus is kind of like a tower moment sometimes, depending on what's going on in your life and whether or not you have been listening to the nudge to shift. It doesn't always start like a tower moment, but if you won't move, it'll become one. And that's what Uranus is like. Okay, I want you to change. And you're like, I don't think so. I want you to change. I want you to change. Ooh, really? I got you. Bring it all down. That is what Uranus energy does. So Uranus is also very innovative and very humanitarian. So because it takes a longer time to move, it's called a generational planet, and it impacts, this is generational changes. This is changes that will be happening on a global scale that there's nothing we can do to change is going to happen. In the video that I'm going to link, she gave some really great technology examples that happened when Uranus and the North Node came together before. So depending on where this is happening in your birth chart, how this is going to look. But the things were like, Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. So you want to think about where in your life have you had the most shifts that you would probably be able to see it in your chart. So it's shaking things up in an area of our life we thought was steady. Because again, Taurus energy is fixed, it's rooted, it's steady. So what Uranus is doing is coming into that steady area of our life and saying, you ain't steady, move. You ain't steady, shake it up, shake it up. There's got something that needs to be go, something needs to go, something needs to shift, shake it up. So Taurus is like, oh, no, I don't want to. And Uranus is like, we about to tear this whole thing down, whether you like it or not. So the area of life we thought was steady, now we're seeing shifts and disruptions. And depending on how we're allowing those shifts and disruptions to, you know, guide us as opposed to knock us over and push us, how that's going to feel. So I just wanted to make sure I touched on that because that's going to be interplaying into this energy throughout this shift. Okay, so now that we've talked about that, let's look at the houses that are impacted for me. So the access that is triggered for me personally. So now we're going to get into me personally so that you can kind of see it in action, especially people who know me, whether you're friends with me on Facebook, you will see that some of these things, you know, if I've shared stuff, you'll see, oh, wow, like this is okay. So this axis is happening in the 5th and the 11th house of my birth chart. So I have a Scorpio 5th house and I have a Taurus 11th house. So we're going to talk about the 11th house first, since that's where the North Node is, and that's the energy that wants to expand and grow and shift and change. So we got the North Node and Uranus both in my 11th house. So the 11th house is the house of friendships and dreams fulfilled. So it is your hopes and dreams fulfilled. It is the house of the people that you choose to be connected with. So whereas in your birth chart, your 3rd house is more like your neighbors, like you moved there, you didn't choose them to live beside you, but your 11th house is the people you wanted in your life. You were like, hey, let's be friends, yay. Let's join, I want to join this group, yay. That is what the 11th house is. So this is a house of clubs, organizations, groups, networks. It is your activities with these groups, because essentially the people in our lives are supposed to be helping us to grow and develop so that we can achieve our hopes and dreams. So this is the activities we're doing within these friend groups, within these organizations, within these networks. How we grow and actualize our true selves. We do that through connection. You don't do that solitary. It's not happening solitary. You do that when you're connected with others. You do that in a community. It is what we desire and achieve. It's our creative vision. And the 5th house is the house of creativity. Again, the axis is working together. It is also the kind of friend that we are. So it's not only the people that we are being friends with, but how are we as a friend to those people? It's what we offer or do for others. It's our basic character and defines the friends we choose. It's also the house of stepchildren and adopted children. So that is the 11th house. So then we have the 5th house. The 5th house is, for me, is ruled by Scorpio, and it is where the South Node is going to be. And I should have, well, I touched on the 1st house a little. So the 5th house is the house of pleasure and children. It is what we create brings us pleasure. We get pleasure from being creative. It is giving of ourselves to make something. So it is also the house of procreation, because you are creating a life. It is a literal the fullest expression of creation is creating an actual human life. So we're creating a life. It is personal pleasure. It is self-satisfaction. It is romance. It is dating. It is taking risks. So this can be like making a gamble on something. It's fun, games, hobbies, play for the purpose of pleasure. And it is our children. It is our literal children in our life. It is our inner child as well. So this is the areas of my life. So we have the area of my life impacted are my friends, hopes, dreams, aspirations, and creative vision, and what I create that brings me pleasure. What am I passionate about? My children themselves, and also people who I also may have equated as children. That's where it's happening for me. So just digging in to that, and then so that's the area of life, the lens from that my creative vision and my hopes and dreams are very much through the lens of Taurus. So my dreams are fixed. I want them tangible. I want them lavishly abundant, nurturing, and even just thinking about what kind of friend you are, nurturing, intuitive, loyal. And on the flip side of that, so just think about it, where the things need to be shed and shift and change, you can be too loyal. You can be too fixed. You can not want to let go of friends and not want to let, it's been my friend for years. I don't want to let them go. But Scorpio is on the other side saying, do they still serve you? Do you still feel good when you're around them? Are they still aligning with your higher self? Because if not, they got to go. That is how those axes are playing with each other. So, when we look at what's happening, so the things that will need to be shed from that Scorpio energy, and I'm focused on that Scorpio energy in this way because one, I am a Scorpio dominant. So if you look at all the zodiac signs, we all carry all 12 zodiac signs in our energy. We carry all 12. Our sun, moon, and rising sign are very prevalent in our personality. But we also have a dominant sign that dominates overall. It is the overarching lens through which we see everything and carry our personality. And for me, I'm a Scorpio dominant. So a lot of this is going to play out for me. Also, for this year, for my solar return, each year for your solar return, your rising sign changes. Your natal and rising sign is what it is. That was your rising sign when you were born. But as you grow and evolve, each year there's an overarching theme. So your rising sign changes each year. And I am a Scorpio rising. It's better. It gets so much better. But being that I'm a Scorpio dominant, and people who know me know that, having children was a big deal to me, and the struggles I had to have children, it was a challenge. I also had a very many I'll say loosely adopted children, stepchildren. I always had children in my life. Biologically, I did not have my own children. I am a creative. I am passionate about being a creative. I have a very strong inner child presence. If you hang out with me, like right now, my birthday, I'm going to Chuck E. Cheese, but it's not going to be busy. These are things that are prevalent in me overall, like in general, overall, like I can't shake them. They just are who I am. So when we talk about the South Node, there's going to be a lot of shifts in that for me because your rising sign rules your first house, which is the house of who you are. So for me, so I really looked at that. So for Scorpio South Node, there's going to be a lot of shedding, emotional and psychological attachments. Things are going to be brought into the open. But if we are tapped into, one moment. If we're tapped into our emotional and spiritual selves, our psychic selves, those gifts are going to help us with these changes. Roy already talked about, is going to be an area of unraveling previous patterns that don't serve us, shaking up and shining a light on the shadow energy. Anything where we are obsessive or compulsive, we're going to let go of old stories. We're letting go of old fears and anxiety. Scorpio rules detox and the organs that detox. So any organs that are where things come out, like we're releasing. So any body parts where things come out, Scorpio rules those. Scorpio is definitely intense, so it's extreme. So this energy is going to be really amplified. Scorpio is definitely about mysteries, occult, sub-level things. So conspiracy theories will be very prevalent. And this time what's going to happen is we got a lot of the information with that Gemini and Sagittarius transit. What we're doing now with this Scorpio and Taurus is really looking at, okay, what's factual and what's not. So there's conspiracy theories and conspiracy facts. So what's factual and what's not. So our discernment is going to need to be increased so that we can see what's truthful and see what resonates with us. And that's the thing that people have to understand. Everything is not meant to resonate with everybody. There are certain things that are hard and fast truths that will. The sky is blue. You know, the sun is bright. We can see stars in the sky. There are things like that, but there are other things that are simply have to resonate with your soul and your inner being. And that is where you have to decide. If you believe in dimension of time, you have to decide what okay, so sorry about that. I had to give my son a crown and to pipe. Okay, so again, really deciding what resonates with you, what is truthful for you, what is factual for you, because what someone else is experiencing may not be your destiny. And you have to decide and discern for yourself, what is your timeline look like and what is it that is going to resonate with you? And do your research. Do your research. Like what I did. I did my research. I said, okay, cool. This is what's going to go down. Cool. Let me go ahead. And this is what I'm sharing now, how I did it. So now we kind of have a general idea of what the themes, the area of my life. So let's talk about some history. Okay, so for your reference, because even though I didn't do this time frame, I will give you the dates. The last time the North Node was in Taurus and the South Node was in Gemini was in from April 2003 to December 2004. So if you want to go back and see what was going on in your life during that time, you already at least know the energetic themes, like how you would have been seeing the area of life. Even if you don't know the area of that life, you at least know some general ideas of things. You pull your birth chart up, as long as you have your exact date, time, and location, you'll be able to actually see the area of your life as well. The reverse, however, so the reverse of that energy, so where you would have been growing and expanding in 2012 to 2014, so August 29th, 2012 to April 18th, 2014, this is when the North Node was in Scorpio and the South Node was in Taurus. So whatever those themes were during that time frame, that's probably easier for you to remember. It's going to flip flop. You're going to have an opposite experience of those themes. So late 2012 to early 2014. So in 2012, I had just started working at my current job. I was also back working at a previous job. And I went on my very first, for the one that was a brand new job. So I was working 2 jobs at the time. So you think about Taurus, money. Taurus is all about the money. I had 2 jobs at the time During this transit, I was working at 2 jobs. I was also in a place where I was trying to decide if I was going to keep 2 jobs, because the previous job actually offered me a management position. They were like, if you come back, we'll give you your own location. And I was just like, oh. But I was also in this place of trying to decide, did I want to give my life to that job? Because even on a basic standpoint, it was a lot of hours. And I just knew, I know the kind of leader I would have been in it. I would have been in my store all day, every day. And I just, so in order to get away from that, I had to do something I was terrified to do. I'm afraid of heights and I don't like to fly. And I had never flown before. There was a reason for that, because I was not the pilot. So I had no control over the trip. And but if I wanted to keep that job, I had to fly for training. And so I had to fly. And actually, I think that might have been around that day I had to fly. It was around that time of year I flew for that training, because I was out of training like late September. So that would have been around the time I flew away for training. Oh man, I just remember the night before having a total panic attack. My manager at the other job drove me home and I cried in his car. Cried in his car. So Scorpio is death and rebirth, and I experienced the death part in a quite literal sense in 2013. So in 2013, my godson passed away, my grandmother passed away, a classmate passed away, and a friend passed away, all within months of each other. It was like back to back. Like 2013 was definitely a year for me. It was also a 9-year for me, which is 9 years about endings, numerology wise. So it was a 9-year for me, and that year was just like endings of people that were in my life. And around February 2014, my gallbladder was removed. So remember that detoxing, your gallbladder technically is a detoxing organ, and mine was removed in 2014. Like, it went away. Why? Because it was not serving me. In the very literal sense, my gallbladder was not functioning. When I got checked, a lot of people said they had I had no gallstones. I had absolutely no gallstones. What I was experiencing was nausea. I was just really, really nauseous, like all the time. And just as an additional reference for my astrology folks, in my birth chart in Placidus, and Placidus just simply is a system where the chart, it's not a one-to-one, one sign, one house. Some signs may trickle into other houses, and Scorpio trickles into my 6th house, which is the house of your health. So I didn't feel good, and I just had like days of nausea until somebody said, go see somebody. So when I went to the hospital, the prompt care place, they pushed and they're like, they think it's, told me they thought it was my gallbladder. And so when they examined it, what they found is that my gallbladder was not doing anything. Like, in the very literal sense, it's like it's actually not functioning in this moment. Whatever percentage it's supposed to be, mine was like a single digit. It wasn't doing anything. So again, you think about Scorpio, does this serve you? And my gallbladder did not serve me. It had to go. So February 2014, I had my gallbladder removed. Some other things that happened in 2013. So I went from the store. When I left, so I had the new job, but when I left the second job the first time, I went back to that last location, and I went back there, and even now I'm just thinking about this now, your collective, your network, the people that you choose. I chose to go back there because I also chose to go there the first time. I was working in one location and I was like, I don't want to stay here anymore. Please let me come there. So it was a choice to go to that other. I wasn't told to go. I asked to go be in that store. So I asked to come back, and it was just like, okay, you remember how to hire yourself, right? I went up there one day on break, and they're like, okay, well, just put your stuff in the system. Thanks. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and hire you back on as a shift manager. So I'm like, oh, okay, bet. Cool. All righty then. And that's so funny. So I get there, and then I just think about the skills and things that I had, or like I had already established South Node energy. So there was a network I already had that I was familiar with, that I was comfortable with, where I could make money and extra money. And that's what I went back to. You go to where it's comfortable. That was what was comfortable for me. I didn't have to be like, again, I hadn't gone for years, but I still know how to go and do the job. I can probably go back there now and do the job. So when, but at the new job, I was also growing. So even though I was experiencing very strong emotional losses, like very strong hits to my being, my godson, I wanted to adopt at some point. So again, when I would go back to that 11th house energy of, stepchildren, adopted children, he would fall into that standpoint. He was the catalyst that made me want biological children, because he was the final catalyst. My girlfriend at the time had kids, and I loved them. And I was actually satisfied with only having stepchildren. But he came along, and then baby fever hit, because he came along as an infant, as a newborn. And I had never been around, and I was just like, I was in love. I was absolutely in love. I loved that baby. I really did. And all of a sudden, my body was like, we should have a baby. And my girlfriend and I had discussed it, like, okay, I carry one of your eggs. And, so obviously that didn't happen, but he definitely was the catalyst to not only me, like her children made me happy with having children. He made me want my own child, because he was there and that he wasn't. So, when he passed, it was like, I was devastated. Like, I found out at work and everything. Like, I was completely devastated. My grandmother passing was just, my grandfather had only been gone a couple of years, and my grandmother passing was just like, again, I found out at work. I found out about one at one job and one at the other job. That's interesting. Now that I think about that. Actually, I think I was every person who passed away in 2013, I found out about their passing at work. I was at work when I found out about all of them. So 2013, I had only been at my job since, summer of 2012. 2013, I got my first promotion early that year. Like, before I hit 1 year, I got my first promotion. 2013, I also got a car. I had been struggling with transportation. Even when I got the job, I struggled. Like, it was just a struggle and a challenge to get back and forth to work. And I got a car. There was in 2013, there was a taboo sexual experience I had in 2013. I also met somebody in 2013. Hurricane Sandy hit September 2013. So you think about water sign. And we went to go to my grandmother's funeral and then we couldn't stay because they needed to evacuate. And if we would have stayed, we would have been trapped. So we had to leave. I even looked at myself. I looked at some old pictures, and I was very Scorpio as far as like visually. We'll see what this year looks like being a Scorpio rising, because your rising sign does dictate how you look. And so I'm curious to see what I look like by the time the end of this year. But yeah, November 2013, Thanksgiving, and you think about like collectives and things like that. I did something I had never done before, which is I handled Thanksgiving dinner. As we round out the year, I just realized I had developed a spiritual mentor in 2013. From 2013 to around 2014, I had a spiritual mentor even then. I was just trying to get my life together. This is also around the time, I didn't write it down because I couldn't find pictures to validate exactly when, but I know that when I started the job in 2012, I was not wearing my natural hair out, even though I was natural. I had been natural for years, but no one had ever actually seen my natural hair because I was just always under a wig, because I could not see myself as attractive with my natural hair out. And 2013 is when I started to wear my natural hair out. And it was late 2013 when I started to wear my natural hair out. By the end of this transit in 2014, I will just completely no more wigs. I'll get my hair braided, but I stopped wearing wigs completely by the end of that transit. And Taurus is all about self-love. And so is Scorpio. In a way, both Scorpio and Taurus, they just manifest differently, are all about being authentic and loving yourself. And there was a physical manifestation of that in me when I went from wearing wigs to not wearing wigs and to wearing my natural hair. And I've gone through it. It's evolved even again with my locks. So, but April, so the beginning of April 2014, so that's transit ends mid-April. The beginning of April 2014, I was promoted again. I was on a roll for a minute. So I got promoted again right around April Fool's Day. Right around April Fool's Day, I got promoted again to a lead role. And it was interesting because the manager for that role didn't want me to have it. The manager for that role did not want me to have it, but destiny was going to have its way. But I was also still working both jobs. So I would get off the one and still go to the other one at night. And by the end of this transit, the question of whether I was going to stay, because there was also a situation where there were toxic connections with people at that job. And so it was like, are you going to stay attached to these toxic connections because they no longer serve you? And so the transit ended on the 18th of April. The beginning of May. So by then the nodes have moved. The nodes are good and into Aries and Libra. Libra is balance, harmony. Aries is I am. It's me, I am. So when I moved into that energy, by May, beginning of May, because we're not together anymore, but I met my son's father May 10th. I quit the beginning of that week. And it was a shift that it was like the nodes were trying to get me to shift and I hadn't moved. And what ended up happening is the toxic element that I was holding on to was fired. And that was it. Like the day they called, hey, I don't work there anymore, they fired me. Whoa, what happened? Okay. Email. Hi, I'd like to tender my resignation. Just that fast. Just that fast. It is also, so I met who would then become the father of my children. And had I not quit my job, I tell everybody all the time, if I had not quit the other job, my sons would not be here. Never had children. Because I never would have met him, because I had asked for that particular day off and he scheduled me to work. So I quit 3 days before that day. And that's what gave me the free time to go meet him. So that's a look at how the nodes and destiny and everything played out, and how you can actually see it. The energy's there in the cosmos, and how you fight it, flow with it, what's going to happen. So now I'm looking at now. So one thing I can see where this Uranus is playing out. So again, Uranus is in Taurus, and so it's in my 11th house, which is a house of friendship circles, things like that, and the people you choose to spend your time with. Between right this minute and what I learned recently today, just kind of looking at what having a Taurus 11th house looks like, is that my friendship circles are small and close. And it's like that. And it's not that, I didn't have like these big, oh my God, I hate you. Like the worst separation between me and somebody else, honestly, is my ex-husband. And even then, I didn't have a I hate you kind of energy. And even he doesn't have an I hate you energy per se. He just, not nice, but it ain't I hate you. I can intuitively, I know he doesn't hate me. I know that. But I also know we can't be. What? All right, my son's talking. So Uranus came through and said, okay, let's see who's your friend and who's not. Because if they're not really your friend, and it's crazy because even in like divination, whether it's a cards or something like that, things about friends come up. But what was really specific was like there were people who, on a conscious level, like what they acknowledge, don't have beef with me. But there is something unconsciously brewing under the surface where there's an issue. But they don't wish, it's not like they're sitting around someplace like, I hate her, I wish such and such a thing would happen. But they do certain things that if it was like fully true, they wouldn't do. And it's interesting how so many different varying opinions on, hey, we could be friends and we never talk and blah, blah, blah. And that's cool. I'm not that friend. And I'm honest about it. Like I am loyal to a fault, but both my Scorpio and Taurus won't let me have certain levels. I need depth, I need to be deep, I need connection. And words of affirmation is my number one love language. After that is quality time and physical touch are tied at number 2. My deepest relationships are with the people who I talk to. And it's not that we talk every day, but generally speaking, like the three guys that are my closest friends, 2 of the 3 I talk to every day. It just circles. There might be 1 out of the 3 I don't talk to that day, but at least 2 of them, even if it's literally only a message to say, what's up, good morning, how are you doing? 2 of them I connect with every day. If one, we go more than 2 days, one of us is like, hey. And if you think about that, especially men watching, where men are like, we don't connect with each other like that. This shows the level of connection that we have, because I'm not always the one initiating. And you would think because I am the sole womb holder in the group that it would be me. I'm the one with the dominant divine. It's not me. It's not. They will reach out to me quick, fast. Hey, you good? I ain't heard from you. You all right? You all right? And my voice sounds funny. You good? But That's because I've also healed, and I'm actively healing my wounds around anything around abandonment and things like that, and also on feeling like I deserve the level of connection for which I desire. And sometimes when I see those posts, I'm like, well, that's not what they desire, but you shouldn't say no one should desire it. The fact that I am an adult mother, single mother, 2 children, both with special needs, a full-time job, and an active business. But I can pick up the phone and text you. I can pick up the phone. I prefer to call, but I don't like to text, but a lot of my friends like to text. So I'll text you, reach out to you, say something, anything to ensure that you know that you are important in my life. And I do that because I am telling the universe, this is what I require back in return to me. Even the ones that are super busy make it a point to say, I just at least want to say, hey, bare minimum, I'm going to say, hey, how are you? And good morning. Because you know why? That takes like 3 seconds in the text. So I feel like I can't use being busy as a reason to not connect. Because if the person is important, the time is made, period. If the person is important, the time is made. If I am on the side of town near any one of my really close friends, hey, I'm in your neck of the woods. You busy? I'll pull up. I just want to say, hey. I ain't got time to stop and talk long, but I just want, let me pull up and get a hug. And they'll vouch, I'm good for doing that. All right, I gotta go, bye. Just so you know that I care. So there have been some, me defining my worth defines the level of connection in my life. And everybody has to define what that looks like for them. Like some people, that's not their level of connection. I am very much, very, very strongly divinely feminine, very much fixed energy. Like I'm an Aquarius sun, fixed, Scorpio dominant, fixed. Sorry, got to do mommy things. Got to do the mommy thing. But yeah, so that's been huge. Like Uranus has been coming through like, they're gone, they're gone, they're gone. I'm just like, bruh, what? Oh. I just thought about 2014 was the last time I saw my high school sweetheart. Wow. Last time I saw him was shortly before I met my now ex-husband. Golly, man. Just, okay, all right. And we have not been able to, since like the last time I reached out to them was when my firstborn passed away. And I didn't like how they responded. And I don't have beef with them. And chances are if I ran into them, I'd probably just like all over again. But that was like, there are a few people that like that. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the people who like slipped in and slipped out or who had been here. And I was like, we're going to be a lifetime. And we're not. And I had to grieve that. There was some major grief work I had to do. But in very Taurus fashion, I was not willing to see who was seasonal and who was a lifetime. For me, everybody's a lifetime. That's how I move. Like for me, I'm lifetime energy. So I just, yeah. So learning, that's what this is for. It's for learning. So when the reading that was done for me, meeting a lot of new and interesting people, a lot of karmic connections, connections with people that are still destined, joining activism groups related to something that will be material or supporting the collective. And it's interesting that that energy is coming up now, considering how I've been like doing the things with the homeless. And actually, Thursday or Friday, I actually called 2 groups to see if they would like, if they had any women interested in joining my goddess gathering. I wanted to gift them entrance into the program for free. So yeah, I just noticed that. And Taurus is very much goddess energy. So yeah, alrighty then. In July, there's going to be some disruption. So July is when like the nodes and Uranus are close to each other, but they're not what's called conjunct. They're not like this right now. July 23rd, they're going to be all up in each other's space. Sorry, July 31st. They'll be all up in each other's space. And when that happens, there's a other energy that's playing. So there's going to be a sudden shift or change where you can't turn back. Like the ability to turn back the hands is not possible. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. It's just going to be just that sudden. It's going to be really unexpected. So getting yourself, ready to pivot. And for me, this is happening in the area of my alliances, the people who I, connect with, may change. So, but this is going to lead to deeper and more free and liberating connections in my friend group, also on an individual level, because of one, how even though this is talking to my first house and my 7th house, where first house is the house of yourself and the 7th is your disowned self, but it's also your one-to-one relationships. So there's it's all about, 2022 is all about relationships for me. Very active and rebellious energy, like my Aquarius self, need any help. It's going to be letting go of, it's either me letting go of a passion because it no longer serves me, or reconnecting to an old passion. So that's going to be interesting to see if there's something I stopped doing or something I pick something up. In terms of how this solar return, the additional things is going to be where things are flipped upside down in my life. And this is going to come from a relationship. So currently I'm single. I'm not. Okay. So yeah, I'm currently single. I'm currently single. Just leave it like that. So there's going to be a new relationship that's going to come up like out of nowhere, and it's going to change. It's going to change the game. But there's going to be a lot of me helping people out, which again, I launched my coaching program. So I have Self-Love is the Foundation for Everything. This is a webinar. It's going to kick off my coaching. And I'm going to do that next month. But I officially, you can go on my website and book a coaching consultation. I've made myself available for that. I've also added death doula services to my site because I'm a certified diaspora death doula. So that's also now available on my website, which just got a whole facelift. So here goes that Uranus energy. I got like the whole facelift to my website and added those 2 services on there. I'm going to be doing a lot of sorting things out, and there may be a change to where I live. So it would be interesting to see if I meet somebody and we move in together. Like, it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. But yeah, that is what the chart says for me. This is how the reverse of it played out for me back in 2012, 2014. I hope this was a good visual for y'all to see how this energy is moving. If you want a reading for this specifically, you can book a reading. The link is in the description box. You just need to know your exact birth time and location. And in that way, I can look to see what area of life is being triggered and kind of give you that idea. And then I can also pull some cards and kind of just see what some additional messages that your higher self or your spiritual court has for you. But there's nothing, you don't have to be afraid when big shifts like this happen. Like, there've been a lot of things about, this is going to be a stressful year. And it's not that it hasn't been any level of stress, but I feel good. Like, and maybe that's just simply because I'm mentally and emotionally preparing and trying to get myself together. But I don't know. It's just this morning, when I was sitting there after chanting and whatnot, one of the things that came up was, what timeline do I want to be on? And I get to make that choice. So I am. So I'm conscious about what I consume, in my mind, and how I do that, and leaning into my passions, doing what feels good to me. So that's why I think I'm going to do a pick a card, because I haven't done one in a while, and I feel like doing some divination. So I wanted to do that. I was feeling an astrology night. I'm just like, and my cards this morning, like literally my inspired action was the moon. If you don't, but I'm gonna go because my son's having an accident. And yeah, my son's having an accident. So I'm gonna go and give mommy. Hit the links in the box. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment below. Let me know how this resonates with you. If you want me to do something else, retrograde or something like that, just let me know. But again, bye.